deep down conspiracy theory, we're all drug dealers for the government. But
The healthcare system is drug dealers for the government.
yes, but on
We're gonna
that,
disappear. We better stop talking about that.
All right, guys, welcome back to Shed Talk, where the three of us make a pyramid of of great talking points that you should definitely take an hour out of your day to listen to. All right. Back to you, Steven.
All right. Have you guys heard about all this new stuff about the new pyramids, or not the new pyramids, but the pyramids in Egypt?
I saw a TikTok about how they were like conductive electricity or something like that.
That might be fake news, but I mean, it could be possible because, like the Sphinx in Egypt, they also found like it was kind of like a village right in front of it.
Yeah.
Is what I was seeing, and that's like you could see it. I was like, oh, okay. But then they're talking about all this electric current stuff underneath, and that they use these machines to kind of see it, but they haven't dug down there. So it's fake news in my opinion so far.
But yeah, I saw a TikTok. The skinnier one, the skinnier pyramids, the taller or the tall, skinny like pole structure. I think I saw a TikTok.
Oh, the obelisks.
Yeah, where those are conductors, and the pyramids are the ones that create the electricity, and it would be spread out with those because the type of material that the pyramids are made out of, some ancient technology that we lost a long time ago. But again, it's on TikTok, so I don't know.
Yeah. Well, have you heard about the pyramid in Antarctica?
No.
So it started off, the pyramids in Antarctica started off with like a Google image view. That's where everybody started like, well, that's kind of weird. There's a structure here with definite lines. And everybody's like, nope, it's not a thing. That's just where the cameras linked up together and made this one thing. And they're like, no, there's no way.
So I don't know how far into Antarctica you looked, but I saw this Facebook reel. I deleted TikTok because I feel like it wastes your life. But anyway, I digress. Facebook reel. I went from watching TikTok on TikTok to watching it on Facebook because that helps so much. But anyway, talking about how there's an underground... Since we're talking about conspiracy theories, government, don't arrest me. There's an underground city there, kind of like Atlantis or whatever.
Oh, yeah, so I'm getting to that.
Oh, okay.
So they're talking about the cameras kind of linked up weird and whatever. Well, then they got updated footage, and it's still there.
Yeah.
And they're like, no. And they're like, we're going to make an expedition out to find this. Oh, can't do that. You know, you got to have permits and stuff to come here. You have to be a special with a company and blah, blah, blah. And then, so people got the permits and the special permissions to go there. Like, all right, now we're going to make the expedition out there. Oh, you can't do that. You know, that's suicide. You won't make it. Blah, blah, blah. So they just keep going back and forth of why you can't go out there. It's like, just let them go. If it's nothing, let them go. And then another guy was like, we found evidence that there could be a city underneath this pyramid, and they're still trying to figure out what's there and what's going on, and they want to keep it a secret for now.
Didn't they send like some military out there? I think they did at some point.
Yeah.
And something about people ended up dead, or they just disappeared, you know?
Yep. People have tried going out there on their own and blah, 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 but they succumbed to the elements or just disappeared and, you know, something ate them. But, I mean, penguins don't usually eat people.
Yeah.
There's no polar bears.
Yeah, I think there's some. I think you're on to something because conspiracy theory. I've heard people say that there's a lot of stuff hidden in that ice. They don't want you to go out there for a reason. They're hiding something. It could also be like those episodes from like The Simpsons. Is it The Simpsons?
Oh,
that
The
always
Simpsons
predicted
about
everything.
Yeah, The Simpsons.
I watched an episode growing up where the younger one. I don't know all the names of them because I didn't watch it. I wasn't committed to it like the shows I
Bart,
am
Lisa,
now.
Maggie.
It was the little boy.
Bart.
He fell. He was in the city, and he fell through a hole into a lower part where it showed an entire city underground of the top city, and it was like a hidden city of previous civilization.
Oh yeah.
So maybe we were really intelligent back then, or there was stuff that came about that they wanted to suppress and not let us know, like Atlantis, and like there's probably things in that ice that they don't want us to know about because it will bring out a bunch of truths about people who are like, that's a conspiracy theory, and it may all be true.
So I have my own conspiracy theories, of course. I don't know if I'm right or not, but they're just fun to think about. So I have my own little conspiracy theories about it. So you know how used to the world was what it was called Pangea, all the land masses were together.
All the continents were together.
So maybe that's how old the pyramids actually are.
Because the
Right.
pyramids of Antarctica and the pyramids of Egypt were
Closer together than they are
by
now.
the same people,
Yeah,
race.
yeah. And also they had the ones in South America.
Yeah.
They look a little different though. But I mean, I'm guessing the one in Antarctica, we haven't actually got any real proof on what it looks like. So
Didn't they found some in the ocean, like underwater as well? Like pyramid?
Atlantis? Hold on. Get this, right? So, our old boss is reading this book about how Judaism built Christianity. And so it talks about the Nazis in there, right? So it's saying that the Nazis, like Hitler and, people that followed him, read a book from this lady. I forgot her name, and I forgot her significance. But she believed that Atlantis was real, and that something else about it, but the Aryan race came from the Atlanteans. And so that's why they believed that the Aryan race was significantly more important and stronger and all that, was because they came from Atlantis. Because they studied this lady's works.
it's kind of weird.
Yeah.
But I mean,
It was Hitler.
what conspiracy theory doesn't have its weird parts?
Yeah.
I've also heard. Have you guys? This will link up in a second. But have you heard about the giant humans?
Yeah, the what are they? The Nephilim.
Yeah. So there's also a theory, because everybody has, had their theories and tried to do the math on how the pyramids were built.
Yeah.
It makes a lot more sense if you have giant humans doing it. Yes, it would still be really, really difficult, but a lot easier
Yeah.
than a bunch of normal-sized people that are of normal strength. So there's a theory about that too. And now maybe they have found bodies in Antarctica, and that's why they don't want people going. Because Antarctica is really, really cold. The bodies would have been preserved a lot longer
Mm-hmm.
than they would have been, say, here. Here, body doesn't... You can't find a body that's over 1,000 years old here. Something is eating it.
Yeah, for sure. Hold on, real quick. Whenever I come back, I'm gonna go turn off that fan, and I hope y'all notice the difference in audio. I forgot about it. When we come back, we're gonna be talking about pet peeves.
Talking about what?
Pet peeves.
Oh,
Yeah.
I do
I'll be right
have
back.
those.
You know what? Why don't y'all go ahead and start talking about it while I go turn off the fan?
All right, the light's still good. Anyway, I guess we're going to start talking about pet peeves. So, I guess where we can start with that is, do you want to start pet peeves at work? Because that irks my nerves. Like, for example, so I was at work the other day, and I was going to transport to a hospital. And it was very active at that moment. So I understood that a lot of the ambulances were piled up. But there was a spot, it's considered a parking spot, but we never park there if it's piled up. I wanted to drive around them and go into the other parking spots. But I couldn't get around them. Anyway, I couldn't get around them because there was these two people behind the ambulance fixing their stretcher. And I'm like, okay, they're about to finish it. They'll load it up and they leave because they usually do that. No, they finished the stretcher. They kept it on the outside of the ambulance and the back with the doors open, and sat there and conversated with each other while looking at me, knowing I needed to get around them. I wasn't wanting them to move their ambulance to take their spot. I just wanted to get around so I can get my patient unloaded into the hospital. And I sat there and stared at them for the longest time because where I was, we couldn't park. And it just upset me that they were wasting. Yeah. They were wasting all that time. Shit talk. They were wasting all that time just for us to sit and wait for them to move. That's one of my pet peeves. I have another pet peeve if you want to hear about it before you hop into yours.
Hold on. On that note, I did run into that same kind of situation.
Yeah.
We were transporting a patient to Baton Rouge. It was about a 3-4 hour drive there. And we get to the hospital. And it's not a hospital we normally go to because it's 4 hours from our coverage area. And there was a supervisor for the local ambulance service there. And I don't guess he was on a truck. He was just kind of hanging out in the ambulance bay because there was a big storm and there was people coming. It was packed. It was full. They were busy. Well, we pulled up and there was two guys doing that same thing. He walked up, "Hey, let's go. We got other people coming in. You don't have time to sit around and talk. You just put your stretcher in. If you're done, move to the wall over there if you don't have another call." And I was like, hell yeah.
Yeah.
We need somebody like that at every ER bay.
Exactly. There's another hospital down the road from where I was at. The security guard does that. And they're tacked out too. Like they have guns, they got bulletproof vests because it's in a bad part of town of a major city. And they'll walk up, and I'm thinking it's some kind of SWAT officer, and it says security on it. I was like, threw me off, and they were like, is your ambulance parked out there? I said, no, sir, it's on the street. He's like, okay. Walked up to the next crew. Is your ambulance out there? Yeah. We need you to go move it so we can have more ambulance come in. I was like, oh, it's about time.
He wasn't asking questions. He said, get your ambulance and get it out the way. I'm going to pop some caps in your butt.
Exactly.
We were picking up a psych patient from there's an outpatient place.
Yeah.
And taking him to an inpatient one. Or taking her to an inpatient one. And when we're picking her up, they're like, yeah, we just got her back. You know, I'm like, what do you mean you just got her back? Oh, her parents kind of broke in here and grabbed her and ran off. And we sent the cops and they got her back and got her here. I said, okay. Well, I'd noticed when I pulled in that there was a Mustang sitting there kind of weird. And I was like, why is that car sitting like that? Didn't think much of it at the time. Anyway, we get the patient, get him in the truck, and we're not going far. We're going 10 miles, maybe. And I look out the back window because I was doing patient care. I was like, that's that same Mustang. Because it was a really nice Mustang.
Yeah.
Kind of noticed those. I'm like, that's that
They're
same
very
Mustang.
noticeable.
That's weird. So I remembered that they had said that the parents already taken her once. So I stuck my head through the window to my partner. I said, hey man, take a back road route. Kind of hit some side streets. And he goes, okay. I said, I think we're being followed. And he's like, I think you're just being paranoid, but all right. So we started taking some crazy turns, and it was right on us. And I'm like, huh. I said, why don't you call the hospital we're going to and have them have a security guard come out? And one of their security guards is actually a local firefighter. I'm thinking they would bring him out. I was like, yeah, that'd be great. No. They send this man out, 76 years old. And I'm like, super. This guy, no gun, no nightstick, nothing. Hey, you. He
Show
come out
some
and I'm
authority.
like,
Okay.
and I'm just like, oh my God, this old man, he's going to get beat up by the family because they followed us into the ER bay and jumped out of their car. And I had the doors on the ambulance locked so they couldn't jump in. And he was like, I need you guys to go ahead and pull around front. And they're like, oh, that's my child in there. We need to talk to her before she goes in. And he goes, no, you need to go to the front and get checked in through the ER there, and they'll let you back. So when we got into the ER, I told him, I said, yeah, they've already taken her once. Be on the lookout. So they sent a message up front to not let the patient's family back.
That's hilarious. So don't get me wrong. The way the world is now, you pretty much have to work your entire life. I understand that part, and the elderly need to work. I get that. But you're working in a job. Like, I know security is not the police force, but you're working in a job to where you need some sort of, what's a word I can use? Oomph. You know what I'm saying? Like,
Well, a lot of
if something
security-
happens to you, you need to be able to be like, to push, like, block, do something with some kind of force or strength.
But
Strength.
think of it this way: he's old.
Yeah.
Give him a gun.
If you saw somebody like me getting attacked by some guy, you'd be like, I don't know what's going on here, but I'm not gonna, get in there. But if you saw an old man getting beat up, you're gonna jump in and help the old man.
That's also true. There was an instance a few years ago at a local hospital where the police officer was trying to escort a person off the premises of the hospital. He was called out for disturbance, and he ended up into an altercation, and the guy took the police officer down and started going for his gun, and the police officer was screaming for help from the people standing by, and no one stepped in to help, and they just videoed the whole thing. So, like, yeah, I understand that point of view right now, because it happened when I was working at the job you're working at. When I was down the road.
Well, and also just the uniform is usually enough for people to go, oh, okay, and they'll do what they're asked. Not always.
Okay.
It's not an always type of thing, but it's, I just wish the hospital had gotten one of the younger guys to come out, with their gun, just in case.
Just
I mean,
in case.
I don't like the idea of pulling a gun on somebody, but the family already showed that they were willing to just run with their child, which I understand it's their child, but their child needs help.
Yeah.
That's why they're there. That's why the family brought the child to that facility, to get
Yeah.
them help. But now they're realizing they need more help than the family thought. They're like, oh, no, that's not what we're doing. I don't like the idea of the gun thing, but if they were to jump out of their car with a gun, I don't want to die,
Yeah.
And if they were to point the gun at me, I'd be like, hey, man, you're not killing me. Because we already know who you are, who your child is.
Yeah. I mean, it's your child. If you take them, then I'm not going to. It's not my job to. My job is to take them to the other hospital. It's other people's job to enforce that situation. I mean, I know your family. You're the parents. Is your legal right at that moment depends on how everything was paperwork filed out. But I'm not going to put everybody in a dangerous situation just because that's my patient. You can't take them because they're your kid.
Yeah, let me interrupt you right there. Real quick, we did have the video go out, so there's probably going to be some spots where we're talking that there's not video. Sorry about that. It dropped. I changed the setting to where it doesn't stop recording if a frame drops because we're not actually doing anything cinematic right now. We're just filming a podcast. But now that I did stop you, which is a great time to do this, let's change the topic. There's a dirt dauber right there. Should talk. Anyway, the next one I believe was the massacre, which you know more about this than I do. And
It's next, so I guess I could bring it up.
yeah, go ahead and bring it up. Don't exit out of that though, please.
I'm not exiting.
While he's doing that,
What pet peeves do you have?
what pet peeves do I have? Oh, thank you for asking. I'm glad I finally get to talk.
Well, you're the third guy in this
My
one.
pet peeves is that I don't get to talk. I'm just kidding. I'll let Colby do some more talking. Here you go.
What, you don't want to talk about your pet peeves?
I do have pet peeves. You know what? The one thing that I can't stand about working on an ambulance,
No, he's complained all week about it.
complained all week. It's the reason I've been in such a bad mood is my job. And honestly, I love helping people. That's the thing I love about working on an ambulance. What I can't stand, and I'm probably about to ruffle some feathers here, but it's about the whole healthcare system. So, get over it. I'm talking mess about myself too. Nurses, because they don't like anybody on ambulances. There's like a whole feud going on between ambulances and nurses. That's been a thing, like firefighters and police, Doctors. Doctors are also pretty rude. They think that, understandable, you've been to 8 years of school, so 12 years of school. So
it depends on what kind of doctor you are.
but you still poop the same color I do, unless you're unhealthy. Then whatever. Still smells. You treat me like a human being. You might be smarter than me, okay, but we're both human beings. I can't stand EMRs/drivers who don't know how to do their job and don't want to do their job. They're being lazy. I can't stand EMTs who are lazy. I can't stand paramedics who think I don't know anything because I'm an EMT and not a paramedic. That's my pet
The
peeve.
paragods.
Yeah, the paragods. The whole healthcare system. Can't stand it. The reason why I do not enjoy my job is because of the people that I'm supposed to be working with. Not even the patients. Like, I'm okay with the patients. I like talking to the patients. I like helping the patients. I like the people that I work for. I can't stand the people that I work with. Anyway, let's go to the next topic.
To add on to that real quick, the people you work with, it makes or break your day. If you have bad partners or bad people you work with on the ambulance, it makes your day terrible. And then you have the nurses who, you have nice ones, but you have a lot of rude ones because they just don't like you for whatever reason that day, and they take it out on you, and that makes your day even hard. And then you have the doctors who won't talk to you like a person, like you said. So instead of saying, hey, look, man, this is what's going on, they start getting rude and snobby about it. And it just, all of that adding up all together, and the laziness where you have to pick up their slack where the job won't get done, it just makes the day not go by at all.
I'm going to throw one out there that I know you know about, and everyone that's ever worked on an ambulance knows about this. The freaking nurses at nursing homes.
Oh my God.
Bro,
That's on the pet peeve
they'll be
list.
calling you out there for this GI bleed. You think they make it sound like the person's dying,
They'll
right?
call just because they don't want to deal with the person
Exactly.
because they're a hard patient.
You get there, you're like, all right, where's the patient? And all the nurses are looking at you like, what patient? What are you talking about? You have to go to the nurses station, hunt them down. They're not even waiting at the patient's room. And then they're like, well, they were seen for a GI bleed like 2 months ago, and they're just being kind of mean, so we think it might be altered mental status. How long have they been being mean? Oh, about 2 weeks.
I had one that was being mean because he started swinging his plastic food knife at the nurse because he wanted to finish his food and she wouldn't let him. She kept trying to take it away.
with you that
You were my partner that day.
Yeah.
But there's the nursing homes you go there, they call you out, and I'm like, all right, where's the patient? Oh, I don't know. I normally don't work this floor. And
and
every day, every nursing home, every hour,
Well, no, it's not.
or it's day shift or night shift's patient. Oh, I'm not done. Let me. So then you go, and you. We'll pause while he does this.
Yeah, it's still recording.
So then you go, and then she's like, "Oh, he's in this room." And you're like, "Okay." He's in this room, and you're like, "Okay." So you go down there. I'm like, "All right, tell me the medical history." Oh, I don't know. This isn't my normal patient, or I'm new, or this is my first day, or he's new to this floor. Those are all the excuses I hear every day, all the time, 24/7. And then you're like, okay. They're like, well, it's in the paperwork. I'm like, all right. So I start going through the paperwork, and I'm like, well, what about this? Oh, I don't know. I'm like, okay, I'll just read the paperwork. So I'm reading the paperwork while me, him, and or whoever I'm partnered with that day is trying to take care of the patient. They're like, well, he's altered today. I'm like, how do you know he's altered? When did he start acting this way? I don't know his baseline. And
If you don't know the baseline, you don't know if he's altered.
I'm going to get to a story in that in just a second, but let me finish this. That way I'm not too all over the place in this one. And so then they're like, well, his O2 sats are low. I'm like, well, what is it? They say 69. They're reading it upside down. It's 96. And then,
he'd be dying pretty quick.
yeah. And it's just like that video you showed me from Fire Department Chronicles. They want the patients off their hands. Well, not all of them, but the
That
one
one I sent you yesterday?
Yeah, the one you sent me, so he can go drink margaritas with the buddies or whatever. But no, the one I'm talking about the baseline, it was me and our mutual friend Trail. We were working a call. I'm not going to say what state, what was going on, because I'm going to keep this as bare minimum as possible. Basically, we asked the nurse, we were called out for altered. I said, hey, so what makes you think he's altered? Oh, I don't know. He's been acting like this since 7. It's 1:20, by the way, since 7 a.m. when the crew change. I'm like, so is this normal or is it not as normal? She's like, well, I don't know. I said, okay. So this has been going on since 7. She's like, yeah. She said, the other nurses usually say he could talk a little bit. He's not able to talk. He's kind of just grunting. I'm like, okay. Remember, keywords in this started at 7 a.m. when she clocked in. It is 1:20 p.m. 13:20, right?
Right.
I look at my partner. I say, "Hey man, let's get him in the ambulance." He's the paramedic. I'm not. So let's get him in the ambulance. Let's check him out because he's obviously our friend. I'm comfortable with him. Get him in the ambulance. I said, "Look at this for me." His eyes was in an upright drift, fixated, would not move.
So did he have like a seizure and caused a brain
No.
bleed?
No, he's been having a hemorrhagic stroke since 7
So for 6
a.m.
hours.
to 1:20 p.m. and they could not recognize he was having a stroke. We took him to the hospital to the point when we told the story to the doctor, the nurse practitioner, and the nurse. They all ran in and brought a neuro doctor in, and they were all like, "What is going on?" Like they're freaking out, and I'm like, I
So
told them the story.
Basically, his time limit was up.
His time limit was up because they couldn't recognize he was having a stroke because they didn't know the baseline, or they didn't go in the room, or whatever reason that they didn't pay attention that
But
day.
see, I don't know if you realize this. For 6 hours, that nurse noticed it when she came on.
Yeah,
shift,
because she said it started at 7.
when she got there.
Yeah.
But how long before 7 had it been going on?
Don't know.
Yeah.
And that kind of stuff is part of the reason why I'm with him on it's the people I work with. It's not my patients.
But it's not every nursing home. I do go to some nursing homes that are really nice, and I'm glad that I started in EMS before my grandfather needed to go to a nursing home.
Yeah.
Because I got to go to all these nursing homes.
And you got to pick which one you want to put them in.
And then I had my family were like, "Oh, you go to nursing homes. Which one do you think is the best?" And I was like, "This one. This
Yeah.
one above all of them, way above this one."
And I'm going to look at the camera at this point, but I'm not dogging on every nursing home out there. I'm just dogging on the ones that I've experienced these issues with. There's a lot of good CNAs and nurses out there. I'm just talking about the specific ones we're talking about pet peeves, the specific ones that irk my nerves.
Every nursing home has got that one or two people.
Every field, fire, EMS, police, nursing home, doctors, we've all got that one bad apple. Me and you know a specific one that initials are DA. I'm going to leave it at that.
God.
Yeah, because I don't know how he got his EMT license. I don't think he should be in this field, but that's my personal opinion. I digress.
Anyway, so now we're going to talk about this massacre that happened in Oklahoma that we have nothing to do with, no relation at all whatsoever. Don't know anybody that worked it at all whatsoever. This is just
Something we just came across.
something we just came across, totally.
So I was scrolling the internet the other day and just trying to find interesting topics for you guys. So that way we can keep this going. But I found something called the Bedlam Massacre. So
He's saying he found something called the Bedlam Massacre. He's got this article pulled up. All right.
So, woman killed after truck crashes into the Claremore Bedlam party. So, basically, from the sum of this story, this article that I read, I'm not going to read the entire article. I'm just going to give you the sum of it. Basically, this guy was invited to this party. And it was between the Oklahoma, it's a football game between an Oklahoma team and another team. I don't watch a lot of football. And so, this guy basically was like uninvited. I guess you could say kicked out. And I guess he got so upset he decided to take his truck and run everybody over in the driveway. And at least one woman was killed and with multiple injuries.
So I'm guessing there was a bit of drinking before all that happened.
I assume they didn't specify in this article, but apparently he was arrested by the Rogers County Sheriff's Office and faced with several charges, including murder, sexual battery, and 4 counts of assault and battery with a dangerous weapon.
So the sexual battery is probably why he got uninvited to the party.
It's
Yeah, probably. I'm thinking that maybe he had he knew somebody there that was upset that
Yeah.
maybe that somebody was with another somebody there. Maybe. I don't know.
I mean, we don't know.
I
specifics.
actually don't know the specifics, but I believe the point that Colby had wrote down in this. You can swap back over to the audio, so that I can make sure that we're still recording. The point that Colby had wrote down about this was, what would you do in this situation?
Well, not just what would you do, but on the way to this call, what would be your mindset to get into possibly which could be a mass casualty incident with like severe injuries? How would you what would be your mindset, and how would you think you would run this call?
That's assuming you got the right information.
Yeah.
When dispatched.
Don't get me on the pet peeves about dispatch. We're not on pet peeves right now. We're on this.
Well, it's not always dispatch. It's the information they were given. In
Yeah.
a hectic situation like this,
They can
You
only
know.
roll with what, and also another thing, like whenever we're getting information from a patient and they only give us so much, and we get to the hospital, and then they're like, oh,
Yeah,
and
but-
this, and this, and then it
you're
looked
like,
like,
you didn't tell me that.
yeah, you didn't tell me that. And the same thing goes for dispatch. Like, sometimes the caller is under a lot of stress at
Yeah.
that moment, and so they'll only give limited amount of information. The dispatcher dispatches because somebody's got to be en route anyway, and then we're all upset at dispatch, like, where's this? Why can't you tell me this? They're like, because they didn't tell us.
Well,
Yeah.
from experience, I would probably say the very, very first thing I would do, knowing that I'm being dispatched to a possible mass casualty thing, I would ask for multiple units to be dispatched.
You can come in.
You come in.
So, like, the very first thing I would have done is made sure there was more units en route.
Yeah.
Because I ran a call, and I'm not going to mention names and what happened and all that, but it was a really bad call.
Yeah.
It was a multiple fatality. There was like 7 patients or so.
Mm-hmm.
And most ambulances, you can fit at least 2 patients. You have the stretcher and the bench seat. Well, our truck was in the shop for a new transmission. And we were in a spare truck that didn't have a bench seat. It had a second captain's seat.
I've seen those.
And we could only transport 1 patient. Well, something happened, and the second unit that was coming to help us got dispatched to a different call before we even were on scene.
Well, they shouldn't have been dispatched to a different call. They should have kept going
And
to
the
that
call
one.
was a nothing call. When they got there, the police department was like, "Why are you here? We don't need you here. Get to the other call." And the police department does not have anything to do with our dispatch or anything. They were like, "Get to the other call," and they're like, "All right," and they cleared up and came, but they were already 15, 20 minutes behind when they should have been.
Yeah, I'm
Now-
not going to say whose fault that was, but they should never have been dispatched to that call. They should have continued on to the.
Yeah,
The
we ended
board.
up having 3 ambulances from our service and 1 ambulance from a different service and 2 helicopters. Now, everyone that could have been saved was saved. So, in the long run, it worked out. People survived.
Yeah,
Well, not everybody survived, but the 2 that did die,
they were pretty much hardy.
it was done.
DOA.
Their fate was sealed.
Yeah,
Nothing could have been done for either one of them.
Mhm.
So,
but that's something that should probably be fixed before the next major incident. Yeah.
it's already been fixed.
Okay.
But it was like a learning moment
Yeah.
for them.
Well, like I'm saying in my blogs that I'm making that I haven't posted any yet. Basically, we practice medicine. Like, we're constantly learning. We don't know everything. Things are constantly changing, whether it's we're learning something new about the human body, or it's just pharmaceutical companies or teaching companies want to make more money to produce more books. Either way, we're still constantly learning. So the same that I do with my fitness is why I say practice fitness, because I'm not an expert at it, and I'm constantly changing, evolving in what I'm doing. Same thing we do in medicine.
But so other than additional units, what would have been like first things you guys would have done?
Go ahead.
Triage.
Well, we're talking about on the way to the call.
On the way to the call,
We're starting with on the way to the call.
tag them and bag 'em. No, I'm just kidding. Tag them and bag 'em. That sounds so bad. My bad. I got dark humor.
All of us do.
All of us do. Probably talk to my partner. Make sure they're mentally prepared, because one thing that I cannot stand is whenever your partner gets all freaky deaky. It don't even matter if they're a EMT. They could be getting scared because they've we can't do a whole lot on a basic unit, you know. Or if it's a paramedic and they're getting nervous, so they're taking it out on me, which is, you know, another one of my pet peeves. The same people you work with, anyway. But, you know, make sure y'all are
On the same page.
yeah, on the same page, mentally ready, working together and not working against each other, because that's the best way to properly deal with the situation, is work as a team. Once you get on scene, tag them and bag them.
Pretty much.
What would be something you would do on the way en route?
On the way there, we're having mic adjustments. Anyway, on the way there, I would, like he said, make sure we're on the same page. I want to make sure that me and my partner, it's very distracting. I want to make sure that me and my partner are on the same page, that we're not going to work against each other, that we'll work together. Especially before I left the company you're at, I was with a new paramedic every shift, and the job that I do now, I'm with a new partner every shift. So I have to adjust to my new partner every shift. So I have to make sure we're on the same page while not knowing who they are and how they work at the same time. So that can also be a factor in it. And then I'm not afraid to call as many helicopters as needed before we get there. And if we don't need them, we can always cancel them. Like, they've told us, like, hey, look, you can call us, and if you don't need us, cancel us. We'll just continue flying and do our training since we're already in the air. Or it's better to have us there and not need us than to need us and not have us en route. So I would call the appropriate, maybe I'll start off with one, depending on what the information is gathered. Make sure there's, depending on what the call is, PD's en route, maybe for traffic control, fire in case there's a hazardous situation, just the appropriate. And yeah, help first responder wise, and to triage. But when I get there, I would probably, obviously the paramedic's going to be the higher level care on scene. So, but as an extension of him and our medical director's license, I would go assess patients on my own, and tell him what that I found, and then let him make an informed decision from there, or whoever's the incident commander over the medical side of it.
So that's what I would have done too. Was I would have told him choose left or right, and I'll go the opposite of that. And since usually I'm driving, I would choose left and they would choose right, depending on how I parked. But they start on one side, I start on the other. We meet in the middle and decide who needs the care first.
And I would probably tape out or make some kind of marker somehow, some way. This is green, this is yellow, this is red, and black's hidden behind an ambulance somewhere so that the public eye can't see it, and then give them the dignity that they deserve.
So 2 things real quick. First one is make sure the police PD is on scene for scene safety, because you don't know if that guy is still at large, you know, still able to drive around and come back and come get you.
I didn't even think about that part of it.
Yeah.
We get in trouble with that a lot.
Yeah, because I remember whenever I was working for a company in this area, we were going to this call for, I'll just say it's a psych patient. That's all I'll say. And Steven was with the fire department that day. And I was on the phone with him. I said, hey, we're staging over here. Come over here and wait with us. And he said, I don't work for y'all. I can do what I want. He just went right to the scene without staging.
I'm not staging.
But
that was the one that went running through the woods, huh? Was that the one that went running through the woods?
No. It was at somebody's house. Anyway, the other thing was triage for the people that aren't in like EMS or fire, or, you know, whatever, and y'all are unaware about triaging. It sounds kind of morbid, and it's actually what all hospitals do. That's why, like, if you show up and your toe hurts and somebody next to you is having a heart attack, but you got there before them, they're going to go in to the back before you because their situation's worse. I mean, that sounds bad, but that's just how it is. Why would they waste rooms with their toes hurting whenever there's like people out in the lobby with heart attacks and strokes? But something that you could relate to it being on an emergency situation is if you've ever seen the Pearl Harbor movie, where the nurses were like writing on the people's heads with the lipstick, like, these people, you know, these people first, and these people are dead, or whatever.
They're not going to make it. We don't have the resources for this one.
Yeah, so that's kind of what we do, and that sounds pretty bad, but yeah,
Like, if you think about it, we can do everything we can to keep someone alive, and maybe possibly we don't bring people back to life. I don't care what doctor, what specialist, however you want to put it. We don't bring people back to life from the dead. I mean, clinically they're dead, but they're still in that time period. But like if they have an eternal decapitation, internal. I can get a pulse back. I've done that before. I can get a pulse back, but they're still dead. They're brain dead. They're like there's no connection. But like we can't fight the Grim Reaper. Okay, we can't fight death. But we can do the best to
I'm going to try.
get you to the hospital and get care for you. And so part of triage is who is already with death, who's knocking on death's door, and who is in line knocking on death's door, and who is okay and they're able to sit in a area by themselves or with other people until we can get to them. And if we can't keep it, so I'm gonna leave it at that because I can go into this forever. But yeah,
And it's funny that
Nope.
we always forget scene safety.
and that's the
Considering it's
first thing we
No,
learn
it's
in
the
class.
second thing you learn.
Oh.
The first thing you learn is BSI.
BSI, scene safe. Yeah, you're right.
Is the scene safe?
And that's the other thing that we don't forget to do, but a lot of us are like, I don't need gloves for this. Nah.
But a lot of times, I found myself in situations like, I'm probably not going to need gloves for this. I'm good. And I'll get there and I'm like, I wish I had gloves on.
They're in my pocket. I keep spare in my pocket all the time.
I had two situations. So the first one was like, so I was wearing gloves. I was with the fire department that day. We were first responding. I was actually with the medics. So we got to do, ALS stuff. Anyway, we helped, as soon as the ambulance gets there, we helped the patient into the ambulance. Well, they couldn't walk, so we helped lift them to the stretcher. And then, anyway, so after they shut the ambulance doors, I'm like, all right, job's done. Gloves off, right? They open up the back door. They're like, hey, we're putting this on for this reason. We need somebody to come hold her legs. They need me now. I'll just go in barehanded.
There's a lot of
I get in there, and there was so much dead skin on her leg. Like
Human
the flakes.
Parmesan.
It was like snowing in there.
human
And
parmesan.
I get out, and there's like dead skin all over my hands, arms,
Ugh.
my uniform. I was like, I'm never doing this again. And then the second situation, we actually were doing a transfer, and then after we cleared the hospital, it was a long distance, so we weren't in our area, our coverage area. It was in a big city, so the fire department actually had their own ambulances. We're on the way back, and I see, long story short, I see some people on the side of the road. I stop, pull over, make sure everything's okay. Well, there's a car not upside down, but like a car in the ditch. So we go over there, and I didn't think to put on gloves before I got out of the ambulance because, it's not our call. So my mind isn't thinking like, all right, let's put on gloves. Let's go pull out the stretcher, do all this, this, and this. Like, it's not my call. I'm just first responding. So I get all the way down there to the car. The dude was in a situation where he was not alive, and I can't do anything because I don't have my gloves on. So I started telling my partner to do everything while I went back to the ambulance and got my gloves. So always have gloves available.
I've been on this call, and it's a regular patient we go to all the time. They can stand up on their own and sit
Yeah.
on the stretcher. So I don't really need gloves because I'm not gonna have to touch them. They're gonna stand up, they're gonna sit on the stretcher, they're gonna put their feet up, and we're gonna go. And it's a regular. Every week we get this patient. And it's always an emergency call, but it's not an emergency. It is an emergency, but not really. I'm not gonna go into details with it, but anyway, this one time we went in, we didn't wear gloves. She gets up, gets on the stretcher, we leave. This particular time, they couldn't stand up on their own, and they had been covered in and God, I wish I had gloves on. I wish I wasn't there, actually, because everybody has their one thing that's hard to deal with.
Yeah.
Mine is human feces.
Yeah.
Oh my goodness. I was gagging.
So
Oh,
on
ugh.
yours and yours. So on yours first, like when he came up on that car, the internal decap I was talking about that I got a pulse back on with my partner. Obviously, it wasn't me; it was him. But we were anyway. We were on our way to a transfer, and I just noticed people running in the road and debris everywhere. My mind was not BSI scene safe because I wasn't responding to that call. It was, oh crap, I need to help these people. I jumped out of the ambulance. I didn't even let dispatch know until after. I was like, oh, I need to go tell them because people aren't calling 911 apparently because we're there. So they thought we were dispatched. So I was not prepared for that call because I was not dispatched to it. I came upon it. And I don't know if it's a mindset that we have, like, okay, we're going to this call, but whenever we stroll upon it in our units, we're like, oh snap, we need to go check, make sure they're okay. But and we forget everything because we want to make sure they're okay first. And then we're like, oh, I need to go into work mode. And then on yours, I had a call recently, not saying where, who, what, when, why, obviously for reasons, but usually he can assist us. This time he couldn't. And it was dried, like hard Play-Doh dried. And it was, his caretaker had not been taking care of him. And I wore gloves, but I had just woken up from a nap and I had taken a shower prior to that. And my clothes were clean. And I just dirtied my last set of clothes. And I was like, I have no more clean clothes. I used all of the ones I've packed. So that's my stories on those two instances y'all are talking about.
I feel like in the future we need to, whenever we start writing down ideas for stuff to talk about for this, we need to like stop doing EMS stuff.
Well,
this is like all we've been talking about.
I know. So I'm trying. What my goal was for this podcast, I'm not going to look at the camera. I'm going to look at you, obviously. My goal for this podcast was, our lives are pretty much is EMS. I worked 3 jobs prior to the 2 that I do now. Now I work 2. They're both EMS wise. One's fire and EMS. It's all that we do. And I didn't want this to be an EMS podcast, and I don't think he did either. But obviously we resort back to it because that's just our daily livelihood. But at the same time, we only had 2 things EMS wise on this talk list. And we've just went everywhere. Like, we went in depth with it. But there is a podcast that we're wanting to do with our friend and you here present. And we want that one to be EMS based. So that's why I've been trying to stay away from the EMS because I want him and you both here. And us, the entire hour will be EMS talk. Because y'all are, all of us combined is a lot of experience. But on that note, the next topic that we could talk about, if y'all are okay with moving on from EMS. Yes. I recently watched a movie called The Fall Guy, and it has what's his name? He was in Barbie. Ryan Gosling. All right, so The Fall Guy. So basically, we went to stunt training. We learned how to be stuntmen, and this movie's basically has a story. And the story is he's in love with this woman. And at the beginning of the movie, he got injured, and a year ago, 6 months to a year ago goes by, and they call him back, and she doesn't know he's coming. He's just trying to impress her and to make her movie successful, but he's having to go through these obstacles, like an odyssey, I guess you could say. Maybe not, I don't know, but he's trying to get back to her and to impress her and get back in a relationship with her. But he's having to go through all these obstacles, and they include either performing stunts for the movie or going into a civilian setting and having people trying to attack him, and him having to use his stunt knowledge to protect him from dying. And that made me want to get back into stunt work and film work so bad. I miss doing stunts. Like, there's some stunts I am afraid of or don't want to do. I love being lit on fire.
Okay. Well, for the sake of talking about something interesting, which I'm not saying was interesting, but I'm just thinking of something else to add on. So, Stephen, we are planning on doing a series that I was telling you about, and I'll go ahead and talk about it a little bit right now. I'm still working on the script, but it's going to basically be like, Yellowstone meets John Wick meets the area that we live in. uh, and
Methtopia.
yeah, Methtopia. So there's going to be like these two. It's going to be like a family feud, kind of. The family feud was like, I say it's like it actually happened. It's not. It's based on other events, but in the story, the family feud was back from like the 1800s, and now it's not even about those two families. It just has the family name, and it's these two gangs essentially, but they're more like professionalized, like professional mercenary style. They're going at each other, and your main character is going to be you. It just moved into, and this is all specifically so that I can get practice making a good story. Y'all would enjoy it, and Colby would get practice doing his stunt fighting. But the main character comes into this town. He likes it, even though he was warned against living here. And immediately he does something to mess up the gang that you are in charge of, your character.
I get to be the villain.
He gets to be the villain. That's exactly what he wanted to.
Yes.
And,
this might be the one show that the villain wins.
Yeah.
Because
Maybe.
for quite some time, I was forklift certified.
Forklift certified.
You know.
But you're going to like come into
You-
town. You see something suspicious going on. You're like, what's that? And you're going to go take care of it. And so the other family, and for the sake of the film, will be the good family, the good guys. He's going to come up and be like, hey, you done messed up. And you're like, no, I don't think so. And then that's whenever you realize you done messed up, and y'all begin this feud. It's gonna be intense. It's gonna be great. There's gonna be a lot of fighting. There's gonna be a lot of stunts. There's gonna be a lot of emotional moments. It's gonna be awesome.
And I had to add on to that. I threw him off one day. I said, "Hey, Caleb, in your series that you're doing, I want to be tied with rope and drugged by a truck going down the road." He's like,
It's a terrible idea.
okay. I'm like, what? You nervous? He's like, I wasn't expecting that, but yeah, we could throw that in there somewhere. Because
Scars make you more manly. It's fine.
most definitely. But yeah, I want to start
Who needs
performing stunts
skin?
again.
Who needs
Yeah,
skin?
it's gonna be some pretty intense stunts, and it is gonna be relatively family friendly. I'm trying not to have any references to cussing or alcohol or whatever. There might be a reference to drugs, but there won't be drugs in it. Just people talking about it. And there obviously will be fighting, a lot of intense, scary scenes. So depending on what you let your kids watch, they might be able to sit in and watch it with you, or they might not.
It depends on the family, really, how they feel about letting their children watch stuff like that. Like, when I was growing up, I did as I pleased, when I pleased.
Yeah.
God, I don't know how I grew up to be, an EMS and not a drug dealer somewhere.
Yeah.
Jesus.
Technically, you are a drug dealer.
Not really.
No, like all of EMS are drug dealers. People are in pain, we give them drugs
And make them pay for it.
and make them pay for it.
I mean, I guess.
So, like, deep down conspiracy theory, we're all drug dealers for the government. But
The healthcare system is drug dealers for the government.
yes, but on
We're going
that,
to disappear. I better stop talking about that.
I know that's how they make their money. Don't mess with the money.
Don't mess with Big Pharma. They got a lot more money than we do, and they can find us.
Yes, but
Oh, we'll find us. Hey, you have like an hour worth of talking. Okay, leave me alone. Leave me alone. It was this guy that I saw it. I don't even remember where. This guy, it's a veteran. I'm sure he was in some sort of Navy SEAL team or something, and some terrorist organization. I forgot who it was. Probably like the Taliban or ISIS or something. I don't know. Had a hit out for him, hired people to kill him, somebody in the country to kill him in the United States, and so he said this. I'm not doing anything against the FBI or anything, but I believe it's the FBI or somebody told him, like, just so you know, somebody has a hit out to kill you.
I've seen this video.
And so I believe, if I'm not mistaken, he was on national news, and he gave his address and said, you can send whoever you want, but I hope you don't like them, you know, because I will kill them. And he said his wife was upset for him for like ever.
I bet she was.
Yeah, you put your whole family at risk, man.
God.
I would have moved them somewhere else and then said that. But
I would have got a different place and used that as my place and not my actual home. Like, I'm skeptical. I would have done something totally different. But he's got some cojones for doing that. That's all I'm going to say.
Would have been like when you're playing Skyrim.
when you're playing Skyrim and you make money off of having the wife because she's got the store, you know, and then you get the benefits from having children or whatever, but they annoy you. So you put them at a house that you don't actually put your stuff at. And then you go to another house and you keep all your stuff in there so you can go in and you don't have to worry about the family bothering you. That sounds so bad. I love my family in real life, but on Skyrim, they're just so annoying.
Trying to do a mission. Hey, Dad, you want to go outside?
No, I am doing a mission right now.
Go do your chores.
Go do your chores, Tommy. Like,
I always tell him let's play
and then he
hide
brings
and
a
seek,
spider back
and they
as
go
a
hide and
pet.
I leave.
And he brings a spider back as a pet. Like, what?
This is a pet.
No, you can't. Make it go away.
Speaking of pets and shed talk, I just saw the biggest lizard. One of those see-through that you can see their organs lizards.
I don't like this.
Oh, the geckos or salamanders?
Just crawled in that little gap up there. He was like that. He's huge.
Yeah.
I've never seen one that big. I have them all over my house at night.
Yeah, I've heard that a lot too.
We keep a light on in the bathroom so that bugs will be attracted to the window.
Yeah.
And I can sit there in the middle of the night, take my midnight poop, and watch them eat bugs. It's fun
We
to
have
watch.
different midnight poops.
Uh,
I don't
sure.
watch people eat or things eat bugs when I poop.
It's really interesting to watch them eat things. I've seen them try to eat things that were bigger than them. Doesn't usually work out.
So, my question is, I'm watching a show right now called The Boys, but if you had superpowers, at least you could have 2 superpowers. What would your 2 superpowers be and why?
Go first, Caleb.
Easily. Have you ever played Injustice? You've obviously played Injustice. I played with you. I kicked your tail. It's okay. You don't have to. You don't have to be upset, man. Everybody gets beat by Caleb. I'm just kidding. I wasn't the best at that game, but I enjoyed playing it. Remember Caleb Dixon? Caleb Dixon, I love you, man, but Aquaman is not a good character, and I'm sorry you kept losing. Ares. I want the pet so he could he could teleport, and I know he could summon swords and stuff, but probably not the summoning swords. I'd say teleport. I'd say if I had to have 2 powers, it would be to teleport and either super speed or turning invisible. I would say invisible and teleport.
Yeah,
Teleportation and invisibility.
If you're picking that, I would probably say that too, because super speed and teleport. There's an episode in Flash or a piece in the movie or comics where he had to beat instant teleportation and had to use the help of other speedsters. So if you're going to do teleport and speeding, that's kind of canceling each other out. But mine would be, I would want powers like Rogue from X-Men, because she could just absorb everybody else's powers and use it.
That's cheating.
And Morph, because Morph can turn into those people and use their powers when he shapeshifts into them.
That's like the whole genie thing where it's like, I want my first wish to be more wishes.
So, yeah, I'd use my first powers based off Rogue.
But what if you're the only superhero in the world?
In the world, I would probably want...
No, it's too late. You've already picked Rogue's powers.
Okay.
You have the power to take other people's powers, but there's no other people with powers.
But did you also see the episode in the new X-Men where she
No.
touched the surgeon to obtain his knowledge? Not surgeon, but the doctor, to get his knowledge to deliver a baby.
That would be pretty
That
cool
would be
too.
pretty cool.
So, I can...
So even still, that's a good power.
But my
Yeah.
second part to that power is I want to be able to I wanted to be able to control it. I want to still be able to touch my partner without having to possibly kill them, trying to obtain their knowledge, powers, information. I want to be able to choose when I take it. That way, because, obviously she has to constantly wear gloves. She can't kiss anybody. I think in the episode that I watched with Magneto, she was able to because of either his powers. I don't know the comic behind it, but basically, her and Magneto, due to the magnetism, he can make it to where they can touch each other. Or Logan because he has the healing factor. I want to be able to control it. So I want to be able to have Rogue's power and control it. So if I can walk up to a surgeon and be like, I want to know how you do what you do and go perform it, I'd be like, okay, I'll hold their hand or handshake them, and now I have all of that information, and I can go do it. That's be my 2 superpowers.
So, I guess mine would be, the first one would be immortality, live forever, and then the second one would be Logan's healing, to where I wouldn't age,
And nothing
know?
could kill you.
and yeah, nothing could kill me. Well, he could die, it depending on which Logan we're talking about, because in the
What about
comics,
like
he was cursed
yeah,
to have it where no matter what he would return.
or like Deadpool's?
Yeah. As long as there's a little piece of me left. But that's what I would want. Be able to,
I'm already ugly, son.
if I just had to choose 2, those would be my 2. Immortality and being able to heal from anything. Because then, yeah, you could touch someone and learn whatever, but I would have the experience in the long run of
Yeah,
all these different things.
like a vampire.
Yeah, but you can't say I want to be a vampire without people thinking Twilight, and I don't want to be sparkly.
No, like Vampire Diaries.
Okay. But I do
So-
like Twilight, just
Yeah,
saying.
I do like
I've watched
Twilight,
it
but I don't
and
want to
read
be.
it
I don't want to be
multiple
like what's his name?
Edward.
Edward. No, the guy. Well, the actor plays Batman. I don't know. That man gets
He
so
also
much.
plays Edward.
He gets so much crap. I feel bad for him, but I don't.
Actually, I
wanna,
saw the interview. I don't know if that's where you were going with that.
my
He
wife calls him
regrets-
janky nipples. Anyway,
He regrets being in Twilight as Edward because
because he was typecasted. It's to where like
Yeah.
nobody wanted to hire him to their film because it would ruin their storyline because all people see in him is Edward.
Yeah.
The same thing happened with Hayden Christensen and Anakin, or the little kid that it doesn't matter. Something I was about to bring up was he said Francis. So it was around the time that I think it was the first Deadpool or maybe Deadpool 2 came out. It's probably the first Deadpool. We were in this guy. Yeah, we're going on pretty long. Yeah.
A lot
I mean, we'll probably cut out a lot of this because I don't know if y'all are interested in hearing all the EMS stuff, and there's probably some things that we probably shouldn't have talked about.
It's natural. I would keep the EMS stuff in there. Just
Oh.
all the cuts and the breaks and maybe
Yeah.
there's no footage with it. Just cut out what the footage doesn't match.
Yeah.
People want the real stuff. They don't want makeup stuff.
Yeah, the
So
real
it's all
stuff, not the
natural.
makeup stuff. Anyway, so we're in the truck with this guy. I'm like high school. Colby just graduated high school. We're in the truck with this guy who I think he's like a CPA, so he has his own business, makes a lot of money. Anyway, in the truck with him and these 2 other teenagers, Owen Elkins. Hey, we should have him on the podcast. That'd be pretty cool. But you remember Owen?
Yeah.
And I think there was someone else. Was it Carrie? Anyway, we're at Taco Bell, and we're waiting in the drive-thru. It's the middle of the night. It's like 11 o'clock. And he's like, so guys, if you could have one bad nickname that you would be called for the rest of your life, what would it be? And everybody's thinking about it. And Owen's like, Smokey. Because whenever we were in 8th grade, we had this teacher that called everybody by nicknames. He never used anybody's real name. He called me Spielberg. I didn't get to pick that. He did it. Because, for this reason. Anyway. But anyway, so Owen says Smokey. And they're asked me, and everybody's sitting here thinking about their names real hard. They're like trying to think of this really cool name. They're like, what would you pick, Caleb? And I, with confidence, this is what killed everybody, with confidence, like, Francis. And so for the rest of the time, everybody just called me. They thought that was so funny. They started calling me Francis. And the reason why I did that was because There's this really big guy with a deep voice at Wendy's. I don't know if he still works there. He's like a manager. And we would always pick these funny names because he would always walk up to the counter and scream the name in this really deep voice. And so one time I told him my name was Francis. So he walks up to the counter. He's like, Francis, you know? And so that's why I started going by Francis. And that's why I told them.
That's funny.
It was so anticlimactic of a story. But yeah, they call me Francis. Another story real quick. So remember Trail? He was just talking about Trail. Was it Trail that did that?
Yes.
Yeah, he was like, Caleb, whenever you tell stories, it sounds like it's going somewhere. Like you're
doesn't.
building it. There's a rise in action. You're building it, and then you get there, and
That's
nothing.
it.
That's it. It's like you're expecting this. You're expecting this, but it doesn't happen. So for like 2 years after that, I would tell a story, and if their reaction was just like how your reaction was, and there was just nothing, I would just go.
Yeah. Oh, that brings back so many memories.
So-
dude, we need to talk about Camp Livingston at some point.
On the other note of superpowers,
Yeah.
there's been this trend I've seen on YouTube and stuff. I like watching YouTube shorts, but if you could have a liquid come out of each one of your fingertips for the rest of your life, what would be the 5 liquids? One for each finger.
Can you choose whenever they come out?
Yes.
Or are they just constantly coming out?
You can choose. Like
Okay.
say you wanted like oil to come out of one. You know, you could turn it on, turn it off,
Okay.
whatever.
So are you wanting to know what my 5 would be?
Yeah, what would your 5 liquids be?
So
and
I'm gonna,
why?
I'm gonna have to come up off the top of my head because I've never been asked this before. So this is kind of interesting to me. Obviously, the first one would be I'd probably want it to come out of my thumb, water. Obviously, because I need to stay hydrated. Like you said, I'll probably do gas or diesel out of my pinky so I can fill my truck up.
You never know when you're going to have one of those.
Oh, okay. Well, that's
But you'd have to use 2 fingers for that.
So,
One
I mean,
gas,
what
one
are you-
diesel.
You're going to run out of liquids eventually, man.
No. Say you never run out.
No. You're going to run out of liquids to choose. So why not use 2 fingers?
Okay. Well, I'll do gas and diesel then to fill up my vehicle without having to pay for it, and it's constant. So that leaves these 2. So I would do. Okay. So I will do out of this one. I'd probably do a liquid, something hazardous, something toxic that could basically burn your skin alive. What is it that people
Sulfuric acid?
put in tubs to deteriorate your skin and to get rid of bodies?
Acid.
Acid. I'd have acid come out of this one. That way, when I go to battle and I go to fight somebody because I'm a superhero, I take that finger out, I take that acid, I turn it on, and I go whoosh-ah, and I chop their head off.
I think that should come out of your middle finger.
You know what? I swap the fingers. I want that to come out my middle. I'm not anyway. Come out my middle finger. I just go wow, and just shoot people, not people, but animals with my
That's
acid.
worse. Well, no, not
No.
necessarily.
Well, I don't know. Bad guys.
Jinx.
Yeah,
Nazis.
bad guys. And I'd probably No, I'm kidding. I'd shoot bad guys because I'm a superhero.
So what's your 5th one?
And my 5th one, probably blood. Without, obviously without.
So they don't have to prick your finger when you get your blood.
No, so like it doesn't come out of like my supply of blood. It's just a constant flow. So that like if we need to do blood transfusions for patients, I have a constant supply of blood.
You'd have to put it somewhere. You're not going to just poke them.
No,
Put it
you
in their
take
nose.
tubing. You could put it in the bag and have the tubing connected to the 1,000 bag and have it. I could fill up a bunch of bags with it.
Don't mix it up. Put the acid finger in.
They're right next to each other. That would suck. Oh, that'd be a good torture technique too. Anyway,
Oh, God. All right, Caleb, what would your
My
five,
mind-
5 liquids be?
Okay, I see this as a business idea.
Kill bad guys?
No.
Nazis?
No. So obviously, you need water. So water on my thumb, like Colby. Probably Ghost, because I survive on Ghost. Which, by the way, pause right here. We're not sponsored by Ghost, but we sure should be. You need to try this stuff, right? 0 sugar. I've been hearing a lot of people talk about.
Well, it's not on my diet,
But a lot of people want to drink energy drinks, but they're like, oh, I can't have sugar. 0 sugar, right? I believe there's 200 milligrams of caffeine. Yeah, right here. And with the B12, vitamin B12, it adds up to about 300 milligrams of caffeine, so it's not too much. But the B12 is also methylcobalamin. If you don't know, cyanocobalamin is one of the types of B12, and that is poison. Cyanide, cyanocobalamin. Think about it. I'm not even going to talk about where it comes from. Yeah. But anyway, Ghost, you should sponsor us. Just saying, this next one, I better be having an advertisement for Ghost. I'm just saying. Anyway, pointer finger Ghost. Middle finger. I'm gonna skip the middle finger. I'm gonna come back. Pinky is probably gas. Ring finger is diesel. You can sell that. And you could also fill up your truck. And then middle finger, I would have to say magma. Yeah. Yeah. I mean, you could like hurt people with it, but obviously you could use it for more beneficial things, like if you go to war, Russia. I'm just kidding. Like if you lose power, you could have something that could hold the magma, and you could use it to cook food for heat.
Yes, yeah.
Or you could burn down people's houses.
Okay.
We could be the Fahrenheit 451 or whatever it is.
So you guys
fireman.
thought of it a different way than I did, which is why I'm going last. And now you'll see where my train of thought on it was.
Uh-oh.
So obviously water would be my thumb
Uh-huh.
because just drink some water, and my pinky would be diesel.
Uh-huh.
Of course, I'd buy a diesel vehicle, but I wouldn't do gasoline. My pointer finger would be like beef broth, and my middle finger would be orange juice because you need those vitamins. And so if I ended up stranded somewhere, I have beef broth that has some calories in it and some protein, and I have the orange juice to where I can get the vitamins from that so I don't get scurvy, and I have the water, right? Those are great. And then the diesel, obviously. But I don't know if this would count because this is technically not a real liquid, but the elixir of life, I would come out of my ring finger if it could be a thing.
That would be amazing.
But if not, then I would definitely probably choose probably rum.
I have one in my camera.
I'd probably definitely choose rum.
Right. Yeah.
He said no. Yeah. So thank y'all for tuning in, watching, and listening in this hybrid visual and audio podcast experience. We hope y'all enjoyed. Comment what you think we should talk about in the next one. It'll probably show up 2 or 3 later because we filmed these in advance due to our work schedule. And we just want to be real with y'all. We want to have real conversations, real experience that we would have on a daily basis without a camera on us. So like, subscribe, tell us what you think and how we can improve. We're constantly improving. We're practicing like we practice medicine.
Maybe
Thank
leave
y'all
comments about what you might want to see.
what you might want to see and what you want to see or hear us do. Go ahead, Caleb.
I'm also thinking about doing challenges for the channel, but I can't think of too many. Like, I don't know a lot of challenges
Gallon
to do.
milk challenge.
Nah.
But, like, comment some challenges you want to see us do. Obviously, they can't be illegal or immoral.
And they can't, do something to put me in the hospital
Yeah.
because I got to work,
Yeah.
unfortunately. But, all right. So, like, subscribe, and please continue watching. If not, just give us pointers on what you would like to see. And thank y'all for coming. Have a awesome day. Huzzah!